It was an extremely chilly weekend, but NC State basketball was able to get hot when it mattered, picking up another ACC road win against Pitt.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day. Our Monday show is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel, and if you're a new customer, all you have to do is bet just $5. If that first bet wins, you'll get $200 back in bonus bets. Only on FanDuel. Play your game. Happy Monday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Well, we still have power as we're recording this, so hopefully we can get through an episode and get this sucker posted. But a victory Monday for NC State on both men's and women's basketball. Men's picking up the win at Pitt on Saturday. Women's picking up an overtime win at UVA also on Saturday. We'll start here with the men's team, a 9-point win over the Pitt Panthers. Ugly in the first half, ugly in some parts of the second half, but hot when it mattered at the very end, making the winning plays in crunch time to escape with a road win.
Yeah, it was, like you said, Grayson, it was ugly at some times. And you know, many people have talked about my criticism or calling of Darian Williams the anti-Josh Allen, where he just only shows up in the clutch time. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, a win is a win. I do want to emphasize that. I do want to emphasize this is a different ACC. Pitt is at the bottom of the league in their quad to win. That's a factual statement. That's a factual statement. That is how good the ACC is this year. So I do want to make it clear. Grayson and I are proud of this team. They went out there and did their thing. You walk away with a win. If they win every game like this for the rest of the year, and we finish the year with however many losses we got now, but we're stuck sitting here saying, wow, we got out-rebounded by 20 every game. Don't care. Don't care. You found a way to win, okay? It's just that Grayson and I know the reality is you cannot do that every game and be okay. You cannot start off the game 6.5 minutes without scoring and be okay. But again, it is a win. And every win is like a baby. It's like your baby, right? Sometimes other people might look at that baby and say, ooh, we got to dress that baby. We got to put that baby in some nice little giddy-ups. Get the sailor outfit out. But it's your baby. It's beautiful to you. And so that's how I look at this win. It is still a win. It is a conference win. It is a conference road win. You take all of those things. You really are excited about them. Obviously, there are things to clean up. But at the end of the day, it's a win. And a lot of people were quoting Doran saying, hell, it's I believe it was Coach Doran that said, what else do you want but a win? Just be happy or something along those lines. And here's the thing. Football has 12 shots at it, okay? Basketball has 30-something. So the difference is if we criticized a 3-game winning streak in this way, that's the equivalent of criticizing one football win in a similar fashion.
Yeah, Doran said, shoot. Well, he didn't say shoot, but he said shoot. Just be happy we won. And actually, that's exactly how I feel about this game against Pitt. It was not pretty, but an ugly win counts the exact same as a pretty win in the win column. We got the most important thing done. And again, there's something to be said for not playing anywhere close to your A game, or realistically, I don't even know if we played like a B- game and we still found a way to get it done. And I keep going back to the rebounding numbers. Getting out-rebounded by 21 in this game is purely absurd. To still not only win, but also cover the spread in that right. Nearly still won by double digits on the road, despite getting virtually like bullied all day on the glass and in the paint. So there's certainly something to be said for not playing your best, but still finding a way to win. That's what good teams do. And our team was good enough to do that on Saturday. We've talked about Paul McNeil heating up when the time was right, hit a couple of very clutch 3-point shots. Ven-Allen Lubin was the steadying force for us. Again, I think this is the third or fourth different game here in the last couple of weeks where I would say Ven-Allen Lubin was the MVP for us in this victory. He had another double-double. That's the 5th one of the season for him. Just that steadying presence. You really cannot put a price tag on that. When everything's going haywire, you need to find at least a guy or two that you can rely on no matter what. And, especially the last couple weeks, that has been Ven-Allen, Lubin, and also I'd throw Quadir Copeland in that conversation as well.
Yeah, for sure. Quadir Copeland has been who Quadir Copeland has been all season. And he was a revelation early in the season. Now we're kind of starting to get to the point where it's like guys are settling into their roles. Yeah. Guys are settling in. Obviously, there are some guys that you want to step up more or less, whatever the case may be. But when you talk about the positives of this team, when you talk about guys that have, quote unquote, outplayed their billing here, Quadir Copeland has to be that guy because he's not, at first I was thinking, man, Quadir Copeland's playing some good ball. He's playing some really, really good basketball. And then the more I look at it and the more I think about it, obviously, and I know people are going to take this out of context, and I'm okay with that. You really look at this thing, and if you're being honest with yourself, Quadir Copeland has an outside argument, not saying that he is the guy, saying he has an outside argument for ACC Player of the Year. He is stepping into that territory. And I know some people may say, oh, he's just on your team and you're taking it really far. I'm not saying that he's beating out Boozer. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying he's the front runner. I'm saying he's stepping into that territory of it being a conversation. That's how well he has played on both ends of the floor, harassing guys, bringing it up, and taking guys down in the paint, doing what he wants, distributing, playing at a high level, shooting at such a high level, right? Like we knew the defense, the ball handling, the passing, we knew that those were built into the Quadir Copeland experience. The shooting has been like, who's this guy? Ultimately, he's played phenomenal basketball, and I don't want that to go unsaid in kind of the midst of, hey, things weren't perfect. I do want to acknowledge Quadir Copeland all year has been playing at a level that's just like, when he came here, it was like, oh, you have a defined role as distributor, defender, boom. And he said, actually, to quote my head coach, Will Wade, don't limit us. Don't limit me, because he's taking the roof off of what we thought was his limits.
And put it to you this way, if you had to nominate a player from NC State to be in consideration, it would be Quadir Copeland for this team, especially the last month and a half. But then that kind of transitions me back into talk about Darian Williams here. And we already talked about it pretty extensively on the Saturday postcast. You got to get more from him, whether it's being a point forward or just a point guard, whatever it's going to be. You have to pick a lane, stick to it, and find a way to get the most production you can possibly get from him. I think, at this point we're we've already reached and passed the midpoint of the season. I think this is what it's going to be for the rest of the way. And so I think it's fair to say that perhaps Darian Williams wasn't quite supposed to be like the Batman for this team. He's more of a Robin. I think he does better when maybe less of the pressure is solely on him to make a play or make a pass or hit a shot. He kind of functions the best where Quadir can take over some of that alpha wolf, so to speak, or, pockets where it's Ven-Allen Lubin or Trey Holloman or Paul McNeil. When he can kind of sink in, get comfortable, and just make plays, especially with his passing, I think that's when you've gotten the most out of him in these last couple of weeks. So maybe it is just going to be Quadir Copeland being the leader of this team. He has been so far, and, so far so decently well up to this point. But we have to find a way to maximize the potential of Darian Williams here coming up. Because like I said all the time, the schedule is about to flip and get very difficult here in the month of February, especially. So 9-point win on the road. You will certainly take a road win every single time you can get one of those. Currently tied for third place atop the ACC standings. And we know because of what Will Wade said in the preseason, that's something that people are going to keep a very keen eye to. We are on pace to do exactly what he wanted us to do this season, but there is still a lot of work ahead. 9-point win over Pitt, 81-72. Coming up next, we're going to switch over to some NC State football recruiting. There's yet another very interesting name that entered the portal. Could NC State get involved here very fast? More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our first Monday sponsor is FanDuel. It's the last call coming up for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, and the Super Bowl matchup is now set. We're talking Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure that you're right in the middle of all the action with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game that everyone's been waiting for. This is where the predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the football season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer on FanDuel, all you have to do is bet just $5 and you'll get $200 back in bonus bets if that $5 bet wins. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, football season's over. That's crazy how fast it's gone by. Last call for football on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com in order to get started. Middle portion of our Monday show, switching gears and talking some NC State football in the transfer portal. Last week we talked about where our glaring deficiencies are, where the biggest kind of concerns are in terms of positional groups. Kenton's was defensive line. Mine was linebacker, and a very interesting name at linebacker entered the portal on Friday. His name is Raul Aguirre Jr. He was a linebacker with the Miami Hurricanes this past year. Actually, the last 3 years. He played 3 years down there in Coral Gables. There's an interesting tie-in here. His younger brother, Markel Aguirre, is an incoming freshman for the NC State football team. If you needed any additional, bait, you could say, to try and go get you a big name at a very big position of need, I think NC State just found a no-brainer guy to target here in this portal. Raul Aguirre Jr., who goes by Popo, so that's Popo Aguirre, fire name alert. He spent the last 3 seasons with Miami, 77 total tackles. He had a fumble recovery for a touchdown and also logged a sack. Was kind of like in the rotation for Miami, not quite a starter, but he saw consistent snaps over the course of 3 years. If I'm NC State, this is like everything you've been waiting for. This is a guy that just wants to play. He wants to be on the field as much as he possibly can and play. And being that he is a linebacker coming from a top program in the country now, just played in the national championship, this feels like a can't-miss recruit, Kenton.
You know, I'm always jealous of guys who have brothers that do the exact same thing as them. You know, Kevin, I know you listen to this. I love you, brother, but we're very different guys. For the guys who do have that, I've always noticed how impactful that brother-to-brother deal is, how impactful it is to be around your sibling and all that. You know, we've had a lot of success here with siblings in recent memory because, you know, everybody knows about the Thomas brothers and all that, but few people remember that Big Ick had a sibling that was the highly recruited one of the two, and Ick was kind of the afterthought, and, you know, look how that turned out and whatnot. So it's always interesting to see how that brother dynamic plays out, but I think that could definitely be in our favor in terms of Popo's little brother saying, hey, dude, we got it here. This is what is available to you at NC State. You know what I mean? We could play together and wreak havoc in the ACC together because they got snaps. They got snaps. Yeah. I've looked around the linebacker room. It's sparse in there right now. It's about 8 chairs in here and 3 people. There are 5 empty chairs in this room. For those of you who don't know, I'm speaking of the structure of a meeting room. The way it works is just like broken down. Never mind. It's inside baseball. Long story short, there are a lot of snaps available for linebackers. And obviously, I would assume that there's a lot of change left for defense. I would not think that they've gone out and you know, as they say, spent with both hands on just offense. I don't think that that's happened at all. So I would assume that we've got a little something left in the coffers to say, hey, man, we need a linebacker that's going to lead this thing on out, okay? You've got the experience. We know what you are. We know what you can do. Let's see what we can get you with even more snaps. Let's see what we can get you in the system that allows linebackers to have even more free range. Because for all the things that you can say about DJ Elliott's system, it truly does give linebackers the opportunity to kind of come downhill and call their shot. I remember the play against Duke that we talked about where they went for that very long run. It was like, hey, the linebacker has 2 reads here. He can go here or he can go here. He just chose wrong. So ultimately, there were plenty of plays like that. And even another Locked On Look of the Year against UVA where we showed that there were multiple guys that contacted the running back before the line of scrimmage. DJ Elliott puts those linebackers in position to make plays. Now, if they make the plays, he can't do that. But as they tell us all the time in coaching, I coach you through the first 3 steps. After that, you got to be an athlete. So ultimately, I show him film and say, hey, this is your tackle to make right here. Hey, this is your play to make right here. You get yourself some NFL buzz by making this play right here in this moment. And I think that you could definitely seal a guy like this.
And that's the perfect segue to the next point that I wanted to make, because one of the best attributes I've read about Popo here is his instincts. A lot of people down in Miami are actually very upset that they're losing him. They were expecting him to be a major contributor next year in 2026. And so they're a little bit salty at the fact that he could go elsewhere, maybe even have to, see him again in the ACC if he does end up choosing NC State. But the instincts and the work ethic are the two main things that I kept seeing every single place I would read about him. And this is a guy coming out of high school. He was a 4-star linebacker. He had the likes of Texas and Ohio State and Alabama after him, ended up going to Miami. Again, he did play a considerable amount in 3 seasons, but just not quite the level of burn that he was looking for. We got it, and probably then some at NC State this coming season. We're looking for people to contribute at the linebacker position specifically. This can be the place for Popo Aguirre. And again, the fact that his younger brother will be here anyway, it's like the perfect little cherry on top. I don't want to call him bait, but I think we should kind of use him as bait. You know what I'm saying? You can play here with family. Y'all do it together. You just witnessed family on a national stage with the Mendoza brothers, and didn't really go well for the Miami side of things, but you can play with your brother. That's a very rare occurrence in college football, really sports in general. And so be a very cool thing for the Aguirre family. Popo Aguirre is the name to know. He's in the transfer portal. I think NC State should literally throw a kitchen sink in his direction.
You see all that temper you did, Dono? You see all that Miami fan, all that, CJ Bailey, we need a quarterback. Now look at you. You let him in the camp thinking that he was going to be rank and file with your boy. You thought it's guerrilla warfare. Yeah, that's what that is. He's attacking you from the inside. You're just walking into a unknown trap by trying to lure our boy, because that would make 3 guys? Would that be 2 or 3 guys from Miami?
Hypothetically, it could be 3 if you also find a way to rope in JoJo Trader.
Yeah. You see, God don't like ugly. He don't like ugly. Yeah. All that temper of my quarterback. Yeah. Alex Francisco Dono, we own you. We own you, brother. We own you. No, but seriously, I am excited about some of these players that we're getting or all of these players that we're getting for Miami, rather, because they're all bona fide ball players. They're all dudes. And none of these guys are the type of guys that there's no film on them. We don't know what they look like. We're all just all projection and hoping that he can pan out. All of these guys have something that they put on tape to show, hey, this can be meaningful for you.
Yeah, if you're going to need some leadership and possibly even a captain, he could probably play middle linebacker. I think this right here is where your focus should go in these next couple days to maybe a week. I know the deadline to enroll for the semester is coming up. In fact, I think it might be on Monday, which is today. Let's go ahead and make some shake here. We got to get something going because we need some playmakers on the defensive end, and Popo Aguirre would be exactly that. Coming up next, we're going to round out our Monday show talking some women's basketball. They, too, had a thrilling victory on Saturday, an overtime win over UVA. Let's talk about what's been going on with Westmore and the women's team after a quick word from our sponsors. Our second Monday sponsor is Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward. For those who show there's more to the score than what's just on the screen. For the NC State Wolfpack, I would say that Ven-Allen Lubin moved the game this past Saturday. He finished with a double-double, 17 points and 12 boards, raising his standards when the time called for it. These moments remind us of what it really takes to raise the bar. It's the extra work that comes off the court. Dialing in on every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit, and I never quit. Mazda puts in that same passion into every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. Mazda, move and be moved. Last couple minutes of our Monday show, Westmore and the women's Wolfpack were also in action on Saturday afternoon. A thrilling 2-point overtime victory on the road against the UVA Cavaliers, 78-76. The headliner for this game is undoubtedly 37 points from our point guard, Zoe Brooks. We've talked about her level of play that's only gotten exponentially better each and every season she's been with us. And there's been a couple moments there late in these second halves that have been kind of helter-skelter, but putting it all on the line, 37 points in an overtime road victory, that is how you become a leader.
So, we talk about the downsides and all that of men's basketball and the things that aren't going well with them. Well, to the same effect, we also have to, although Wes Moore is a legend, even if he retired tomorrow, he would be a Wolfpack legend. We also have to talk about some of the things that are becoming features with this team, because this is the third blown double-digit lead that this team has had. That and by blown, I don't mean that you lost the game outright. I mean you led by double digits, and either you lost the game outright or you had to go to overtime in that game. And it gets to a point where it's like, all right, what's going on here? We're jumping out to these big leads. We're doing what we need to early in the game. If only we could combine what our women's team does in the first half with what our men's team does in the second half, and we'd be really money. But in all seriousness, this has been a constant theme throughout the season that you want to see get corrected. And by the way, this is not to knock this team either, because this third place in the ACC right now. Like do you know there are only 2 teams in the ACC that have 2 teams in the top 3? NC State and Duke. That's it. That's all, and that's it. Louisville is number 2 in women's. They're number 6 or 7 in the men's side of things. So, they've been living by the 3, dying by the 3, which, again, I give credit to this team for, because the men's team is doing things outside of the 3. But back to the women's team, this is a team that they have the talent, they have the stars. You have a Camille Pierre, you have a Zoe Brooks, and all that stuff. But there's just something about a lack of killer instinct, a lack of, we got him on the ropes, it's time to put him out. It's time to put that baby to sleep and go on about our way. It's been lacking all season. And we've seen when you go up against really, really good competition, it's going to bite you. It's going to hurt you, So ultimately, I would like to see whatever that is kind of ironed out and smoothed out. But again, I'm not going to complain about an ACC win, because ACC win, if you think ACC men's basketball is good, ACC women's basketball has been just it for
like that.
Years. I mean, those matchups with him and I can't remember the coach from Louisville's name right now. I believe it's Coach Walls or something like that. But those matchups have been it for years. Kenny Brooks, before he left, had Virginia Tech rolling for years. So I'm giving the credit of you're winning in a very difficult conference, but still there are some things that are a little concerning.
It's interesting that as many contrasts as there are between our men's team and our women's team, something that does land right in the middle of that Venn diagram is the killer instinct. To Kenton's point, we're letting too many late leads be squandered. Quite frankly, there was no reason for this game to even make it to overtime, because we had an 18-point lead at one point. If you're in double digits, let alone pushing 20 for a lead, you simply cannot allow yourself to falter down the stretch and give the other team a shot to come back into it. So that's still certainly a bit of a bug of this team. We certainly hope it's not a feature, but multiple occasions perhaps it could be. One thing I will say about the killer instinct, there's only really one person I think has been super consistent with it, and that has been Camille Pierre. Another double-double, 15 points and 12 boards, just like a vacuum on the offensive glass and defensive glass as well, keeping possessions alive and ending possessions for the other team. You really can't put a price tag on how much value that Camille Pierre has brought to this group. Obviously, Zam Jones is back on the court, hopefully as healthy as she can be. We know that ankles can be a very lingering issue, but she gave you 14, 2 of 6 from downtown. They're playing good basketball. It's just the little tweaks that take them from good to great. And hopefully we can see that switch get flipped here, because their schedule as well gets very difficult. We're talking like a gauntlet once you enter the month of February. But a 2-point win in overtime on the road, much like the men's team, you will take a road win each and every time that you can get one. They are actually sole possession of third place in the ACC women's standings. So right where you need to be here moving forward. Just keep picking up momentum, keep stacking W's, and see where the chips may fall once March rolls around. That will do it for us here on Monday. Hopefully you're able to view this if you have power and or Wi-Fi still. Again, we're still fine as of 6 p.m. on Sunday night. Hopefully you are as well, wherever you're listening to this. Be sure to hit that like button, drop your comments in the comment box, mash that subscribe button if you have not already. Like I said on Saturday, our plan is to see you on Tuesday, but if not, we'll make other arrangements. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. We'll see you very soon. Go Pack.
Go Pack.